Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, max out your savings. The more you buy, the more you save on beds, bases, and more. Plus, get free home delivery on any smart bed with base. Limited time. Check it out at a Sleep Number store near you or at sleepnumber.com today.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Raising Cane's studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Denton Day coming up in 30 minutes. This is the part of the show where we generally do my SEC picks against the spread. Jordan, do you have any idea how I did this week?
I mean, if it's going with the trend at the moment, it's not too well.
4-2.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now you should have let me know. I could have some hype music
after
going.
all that pessimism back on Friday. Yeah, got some picks right. We're going to talk to Saints here, but I want to because I'm not going to do.
We really got to talk to Saints?
Yes, we do. I'm not going to do a full SEC segment today, but I covered with Ole Miss plus 5.5. I told you they'd win outright. They did. I did not cover Arkansas minus 3.5. I said that would be an easy cover. They got
I didn't
beat.
see that happening either.
Then I had South Carolina plus 11.5. That covered. I didn't get that line. I thought Bama should crush them. Of course, they didn't. Vegas smarter than me, but I got it right. I did not cover with Missouri plus 3.5. Their quarterback got hurt, which was disappointing. Yeah. But I did cover with Texas minus 6.5. Probably shouldn't have, but they got to overtime and they won by 7, so you'll take that. And I did cover Tennessee minus 8.5. They destroyed Kentucky.
Them.
So yeah, that's a solid effort by me. 4-2 on the week.
You know, that's what I always say, man. There's always some light in the shadows.
Maybe I just make a legendary push in November here. That's what we're certainly hoping for.
You and LSU, we need it. So.
I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if the Saints are going to make a legendary push here in November either, but let's talk about them. Saints are losers by 20 against Tampa, and fittingly, I need to fight off a sneeze here, so let's see how that goes. All right, we're good. I was about to get into it, and I was like, this is gonna happen here. And what are you gonna do on live radio when it's a solo show? You're just gonna have to come clean and be like, I'm probably about to sneeze. All right, Saints lose 23-3 to the Bucs. It was probably even uglier than that. The game was uglier than the score. The Saints defense played pretty good football. They held Baker Mayfield, who's played great this year. They held him to 15 of 24 for 152 yards. They sacked him 3 times. They held Tampa to 88 yards rushing. They did not allow a run over 15 yards in the game. Like, the defense was pretty good, but the offense was clearly the worst it has been all year. Absolutely abysmal from start to finish. And unfortunately, like, that did include Tyler Shuck's performance. So let's start with Rattler, and then we'll get to Tampa. Rattler was indecisive, conservative, just did not look comfortable at all. He took 3 sacks in the game, a lot of checkdowns. So the completion percentage is high, 15 out of 21, but only for 136 yards. I'm not going to go nuts on the interception that he threw. That's a heck of a play by a Tampa defender to tip the ball up in the open field and then kind of baptize him on the way into the end zone. That was a really athletic play, a really good play. But Rattler didn't do anything to inspire any confidence. And so let's just continue on this timeline. 3 weeks ago, I said, yes, you stick with Rattler. He's getting better. Last week, I said, okay, that's a clunker. Going to happen. If it's a plateau, you look to make a move. If it's not, and it's a precipitous drop-off, like, we'll think about making a move. And in this game, at home, where your defense is playing well and your offense is just giving you absolutely nothing, I thought it was the right move to go to Tyler Shuck. I did. I said 3 weeks ago, don't make a change. Yesterday, I'm sitting on my couch watching. I'm going, make a change. And they went to Tyler Shuck, and it wasn't great. Throws a pick, misses a deep shot to Shaheed. 17 of 30, 128 yards. Offense didn't get moving, didn't create any points. It was disappointing that there wasn't a spark. I don't know if you could expect to have a spark from a quarterback who has not played in the NFL. He had the mop-up duty against Seattle. Then you're going into this spot where the offense is really stagnant against a good Bucs defense without your starting center. But the other piece to this is, while I say that Rattler played badly enough to get benched and Shuck didn't provide a spark, I tweeted this out yesterday, and this still rings very true in my head. How are you supposed to evaluate young quarterbacks if the veteran pass catchers you have on the outside cannot catch passes? Like, you've got Chris Olave getting the ball taken away from him. You've got Juwan Johnson with another just cold drop. These are the guys who are supposed to help these young quarterbacks, and they're hurting the young quarterbacks. The weapons on this Saints team just do not show up. And they abandon the running game. After a little bit of an attempt to run the ball early, they went 26 plays without giving the ball to Alvin Kamara. You get Taysom 2 snaps to run, but there's no ability to run the ball. 15 carries for 48 yards. Your pass catchers can't catch the ball. Like, if I tell you, okay, I'm going to put a young quarterback into a situation. Here's the situation. You've got your best player on offense, your center, is out. You've got a journeyman in there replacing him. You've got a rookie at one tackle, a second-year player at the other tackle. You got veteran pass catchers that can't catch the ball, and you don't even try to run the ball, and when you do, it's for no yards. 48 yards in the game. What young quarterback is going to jump into that situation and thrive? I don't know one. And that's the fear that I had when the Saints made this draft pick and you started looking at this season. I'm going, and I've said this a lot, and it's kind of a refrain at this point, but I've said it and I believe it. Like, most quarterbacks don't work out. Certainly most fifth-round picks don't work out. A lot of second-round picks don't work out. So the odds were always that neither Spencer Rattler nor Tyler Shuck become the guy for a decade. It's certainly possible, but it's unlikely. But it's also unlikely for those guys to elevate their level of play when the supporting cast around them is playing so poorly. I can't evaluate Kellen Moore in this situation. He had a really good team last year and he helped win the Super Bowl. He had really good personnel in Dallas and they scored a lot of points. I don't know if he's doing a good job or a bad job with this team. There's not enough talent. And that's what it looked like on the field yesterday. It was just a dismal showing. And at this point, I would suggest that the New Orleans Saints are the worst offense in the NFL and maybe the worst team in the NFL. Like, it helps with that case that the Jets won. And I'm not here to suggest that some of the teams at the very bottom of the NFL standings are significantly better than the Saints. There are plenty of bad teams. The Jets are 1-7. Cleveland's 2-6. Tennessee's a joke. They're 1-7. But I can't look at anybody in the NFC and suggest that they're worse than the Saints. Your only effort there would be the Giants because the Saints beat them and they're 2-6. But the Giants played tough yesterday. The Saints just got annihilated on their home field. It's just a bad spot to try to evaluate quarterback play. So what do you do moving forward? Well, for me, I look at the schedule, and I think that matters. And I see a trip to go play the Rams coming up this week, and I just don't think that's a good spot for Tyler Shuck. Rattler has seen pressure before. He's a little bit more athletic than Shuck. He's got more experience. I would play him again in this game. Maybe you make the switch, go into Carolina. The bye week is after that. I'm not in a hurry to go to Shuck right now at LA against that front with no center and bad wide receivers. I'm not ready to do that. Kellen Moore met with the media today. He said they haven't made a decision yet. But ultimately, I look at what I saw in the Dome yesterday, And it didn't make me think, man, these quarterbacks stink, although they didn't play well. It made me think, man, the ecosystem the Saints have put around them is awful, and it's getting worse. And the Saints are playing worse. That was a bad effort against Tampa. And so now you sit there at 1-7, and you got 2 road games coming up. It's bleak over on Airline Drive. That's a look at New Orleans Saints here on this Monday. Jordan, would you like to opine on the black and gold? You're proudly wearing the hat today. How proud are you wearing that hat?
I'm proud because it's New Orleans, so I just regardless.
I like that.
It hurts my heart because regardless of shucks out there, rattlers out there, you're giving them charcoal and you're telling them turn it into wine. So it's like you're giving these guys, you're giving them nothing to work with. I mean, Olave and Shaheed, they should be ashamed. They should be ashamed at this point. Because
Juwan Johnson just got a contract extension, which was stupid when they signed it, and it still looks stupid.
Exactly. Like, I know they're not professionals. They're in college, but I'll take Trey Green right now over Juwan Johnson right now, and I think it would improve the team right now. I think it will greatly improve the team. But it's like, regardless of the fact, yeah, you got to see what you got in Chuck. I agree with you on the spot we're in because the Rams front is ferocious. They are, and they're gonna come off the ball. So that is.
I just don't think that's a good spot.
Yeah, it's
for
not.
Tyler
It's a
Shough
bad spot. It's a bad spot, but I've seen enough of Rattler, and that's not even to say but it's like that intercept.
September was fine. October was bad.
And again you use the top 40 pick on Chuck, so it's like it's the time now. We got to see, but just focus on the mock drafts. That's all we can. That's all we can do right now. It's mock draft.
Draft seation.
Yes.
Mock draft and coaching hot boards.
Yes.
This is South Louisiana football. Put it on a bumper sticker. We're going to talk to Denton Day coming up here in 15 minutes. The next segment I'm going to do here, I don't think is going to be super popular. But I'm going to try to understand the booing. And we'll do that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. Every car that is on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. So go check out the inventory. Every single model in this line is an IIHS top safety pick. Every model. So if you get behind the wheel of a Genesis, you're getting behind the wheel of one of the safest cars on the road. Plus, they're stylish, sleek, comfortable, all the bells and whistles you're looking for, and the brand ambassadors at Genesis of Baton Rouge are happy to help you to go through the entire line. Most of you driving around have never been behind the wheel of a Genesis. Most of you. But you can make a change. Go see them. And if you don't have time to go see them, then they'll come to you. They'll come to your work for a test drive. They'll come to your house for a test drive so that you can see that Genesis difference. Every single purchase comes with America's best warranty. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can find that entire inventory online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right. This segment is probably not going to be super popular. I'm going to be in the minority on this one, and that's okay. Like, this is not a segment that suggests that I'm right and other people are wrong. That's not where this is rooted in. This segment is in Hunt is not sure he understands. I'm not sure I understand. So I'm going to try to talk through this and see if I can communicate that properly. Inside Tiger Stadium on Saturday night, I mentioned at the top of the show, that was the most embarrassing night of my Tiger Stadium existence. To watch Texas A&M come in and take the stadium over is appalling to me. Appalling. And so in the midst of all that, and what I knew was very possible, I wrote this last week that LSU needed to get off to a good start because I thought the stadium could turn. And LSU actually got off to a good start, and the stadium just turned in the second half. So I saw this coming. I'm not surprised by it. I literally wrote it on LouisianaSports.net and talked about it on the show. But there were a significant amount of boos on Saturday night. And once again, let me preface, I'm not telling you cannot boo. That's offensive. Like, don't do that. I'm not shaking my finger at anybody. I'm saying, Hunt, I'm just not sure I understand the booing. You got a quarterback out there who chose to come to LSU, who sat behind multiple quarterbacks, waited his turn, did not transfer, threw for 4,000 yards last year, came back when he had an opportunity to go pro, played through an injury all of September, getting absolutely pummeled weekly by an offensive line that does not block. And I've got significant boos in Tiger Stadium. Now, keep in mind, some of that's coming from the student section. I am out in front of this. Expecting drunk 19-year-olds to make quality decisions is your fault. Like, there are some people who say, I can't believe they chant that every week. Guess what? They're hammered and they're 19. They're going to make terrible decisions. I've been hammered and 19 and made terrible decisions. It's just part of life. You're never going to stop 10,000 drunk 20-year-olds from thinking yelling that is funny. I don't think it's funny. I think it's stupid. I thought it was funny in the bar when we did it in 2011. I don't think it's funny to take it and apply it to every song the band plays for 3 hours. But they do. They're never going to stop. So I'm not expecting those people to make good decisions. But they're booing. And I feel like there's some booing coming from elsewhere toward the quarterback. And I don't understand that. Because it's not that you have to agree with me about all those things. It's that I don't understand what the point is. Or is the point to make sure the quarterback knows that you don't think he's playing good enough? Is the point that you want the coach to know that you don't think he's playing well enough so he'll make a change? Is the point that you're just booing the head coach so he knows? Like, is the point of the booing to make sure that the players and the coaches know you're not happy? Do you think, and then do you think that that's going to make them play harder or coach better? Or is it to make sure that the administration knows you're not happy so that they make a change? Is it that, well, the players get paid now, so I paid for my seat, I have the right to do it? Like, I don't get what the point of the boos is. My thing is, like, if I'm going to be a fan at a game, which I don't get to do very much anymore, like, I would want to support the team. Like, show the team that I am behind them. Even if things aren't going great, I would want to support them. One of the greatest moments in my Tiger Stadium history that I've ever been a part of was the 2003 Georgia game. And a lot of people will know where I'm going with this. Some people will have forgotten or weren't around. But LSU was in an absolute dogfight with Georgia. Georgia was coming off an SEC championship. Mark Richt had that thing humming early on. It was David Green and that David Pollock team. They were very good. And LSU hung in there with them. Took some missed field goals early, but LSU, was fighting, and they took the lead. And they were leading in the fourth quarter, and Georgia threw a 90-yard screen pass touchdown to Tyson Browning, which was just absolutely gutting because you had played Georgia off their feet and were great on defense all day, and then you gave up the lead and they tied the game. And in that moment, the most deflating moment you could have, a 90-yard touchdown to tie the game, the whole crowd started chanting, LSU, 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 in support, in a bad time, in support. And then Devery Henderson runs the kickoff back to midfield. Mauk hits Skylar Green. LSU wins the game, goes on to win the national championship. It was the day that LSU, to me, announced itself among college football's elites. And that is such a wonderful moment in that stadium. And I understand that it could not have been a more different circumstance on Saturday night. And I don't expect those two circumstances to be the same. That's Nick Saban on the rise, has won the SEC for the first time in 15 years. You're 2 years removed from that. You're in the top 5. Everybody's excited. Everybody's feeling really good about the coach. And that is when you get that moment. And in this moment, you've just lost to Vanderbilt. The wheels are coming off. Everybody's unhappy with the offense, and you're getting your butt kicked. I don't expect the entire crowd to stay and be amazing. Like that's not what I'm saying. I just am disappointed, I guess, sometimes when you get the home crowd kind of turning on its own team. And again, I understand that not all those boos are directed at Nussmeier, and some of those boos are directed at Brian Kelly, and some are directed at Joe Sloan. But I wonder when you're booing, if it's just like what you feel like you're accomplishing in doing that. I don't know. And finally, to like put a bow on it for those that are just jumping in at the end of this and missed the beginning of it, I'm not saying that you're wrong. Like, I'm not saying you can't do that. I just don't get it. And it's just never something that I'm going to do. I think that the fans of Philly who take pride in being dirtbags, I think that's weird. And I was disappointed inside Tiger Stadium, and it was again, it was as bad a night as I can remember in that stadium. And I think there are probably a lot of people who suggest, hey, I went, I booed, I left early. That showed the displeasure that I have with this program, and things got changed the next day. And that's a feeling. I don't know that the boos had anything to do with it. And I think if the crowd stayed full for the entire game and you still lost 50-25, 49-25, whatever the case may be, that things still happen the next day. But booing college players, to me, is tough because they choose to play here. And unless you see a gross lack of effort, I'm just not going to go there. Just my 2 cents on it. I don't get to boo or cheer. I sit in the press box, which is not my favorite thing, but that's okay. Beats the heck out of digging ditches. I just didn't quite get it. So I get, let's see, I'm looking in the Value Ford chat. Not not a lot of support. As I said, to lead the segment off, I said people are not going to like this. And I completely understand the people that didn't want to watch that anymore. I didn't want to watch it anymore. But I just felt the need to say that because what we saw in Tiger Stadium on Saturday night doesn't happen very often. And I love to cheer it and applaud it. And look, the fans showed up. I was nervous on Thursday and Friday of the week, and even Saturday morning when it was raining cats and dogs, that like no one was even going to come. Tiger fans showed up. There were a lot of people in that stadium, and it was loud when LSU was rolling. It just didn't happen. And there's the comment in the Bayou 4 chat. They're getting paid now so they can get booed and cheered. I don't know that a paycheck. I didn't say they can't be booed. It's not what I'm saying. I don't understand what you're accomplishing by booing it. You're telling them that they need to play better? Is that you feel like, oh, the home crowd's booing me, I better try harder? I have a hard time connecting those two things. I would try harder personally, me, if the home crowd was cheering me on when things weren't going right. If they're booing me, that's be like, well, this sucks. Professional athletes, so that's just it's a difference of opinion on the situation. That's where we are, I think. I only boo the refs and umps. I'm good with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. I want them to know that they're doing a bad job because that happens all the time. But I wanted to get that off my chest here on this Monday. We got a lot to talk about moving forward this week about who the next coach is going to be and all that, and we'll certainly do that as we move forward. But that's just a segment I wanted to dive into. When we come back, Denton Day, SiriusXM's College Football Overtime. We'll talk LSU and Brian Kelly. We'll also talk some national storylines as well. Let's do that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Jonathan Carpenter's team, phenomenal folks to work with because they're experts. If you are a business owner or you're a CFO, risk manager, you're in charge of the insurance program, then look at Highland Insurance Group as the next realistic option. If you're got a renewal coming up 1/1 and you're feeling like that premium may be going up or you're not thrilled with some of the things that has happened over the last year, you're looking for a second option, let the Highland Insurance Group audit your program and put together a package for you. They're an independent broker. They've got contracts with dozens of carriers, and they know where to put your business. They've got clients in all the verticals across the board, and they'll be able to make your fit the right one. Certainly, a consideration will be made to your premium, but the coverage will always come first at the Highland Insurance Group to make sure your business is protected. It's the Highland Insurance Group. Find them online, HighlandIG.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Salty bunch in the Bayou Ford chat today. I figured with the coach firing that everybody would be kind of in a chipper, hopeful mood as you kind of move into the future. Don't have to worry about that hanging over your head. But everybody very, very, very salty, very unhappy with me, which is fine. I knew that segment was not going to go over well. But again, I'm just here to speak the way that I feel. And everyone has the right to completely disagree with that and often do. And that's okay as well. Denton Day, SiriusXM's College Football Overtime. Maybe he agrees with me on some things. We'll have to talk about it. Joins us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Denton, how we doing?
Well, I think I'm a little bit better than some in your area, maybe less better than others. What did you get everyone all mad about? What has everyone in a tizzy?
I think everyone's just cranky in general, but my take in the last segment was not that you cannot boo. It's that I don't understand the booing of your own team and your own players and your own coaches. I don't know what you're hoping to achieve. If it's just that, hey, I want them to know that I'm unhappy with them, like I guess, but I would rather like encourage them. But that's just me. It's a college mindset, I think. But they all think you just have to boo everyone, and that's the way it's got to be. And so that's okay if they feel that way. How do you feel about it?
I feel like silence is way more deafening than booing. Yeah, the worst thing you can do is be quiet in your own home environment, right? The players realize, they'll look around and be like, wow, it is not as noisy as it normally is. What's going on? We should probably play better to create some noise. I feel like that's a much better way of going about things than booing.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of silence in Tiger Stadium when the A&M fans sat down in the second half as well. What was your reaction to the Brian Kelly news yesterday?
Not stunning. You know, after the James Franklin thing, I have pretty much opened my mind up to anything is possible at this point, and nobody is safe. All these dollar values that we see get posted with buyouts and contract numbers, that's all make-believe. Yeah, they are going to find money. Good programs will find money, which means nobody is unfireable. It was crazy to see really what he was on Saturday, and that was a zombie. Now, he did like the classic Brian Kelly things where he was yelling at Joe Sloan on camera to make sure that we all knew it was Joe Sloan's fault and not his fault. I mean, he's really good at dodging raindrops, apparently. He likes to hang out on a beach, as I've learned over the past couple of hours when he should be recruiting, and he's also really good at dodging accountability. So, I mean, more power to him, but this had to happen. You were not ever going to get better from this point, I don't think. I thought the only way further was down, and you might as well stop it before it gets too low.
As far as attractiveness of the LSU job relative to Florida, relative to Penn State, maybe relative to Auburn, moving forward as well, Florida State, what do you think?
It's way better. I mean, there's only one job that I would say definitively I would say is better than LSU, and that's Ohio State. I think the conversation with every other job is that LSU has a fighting chance. I think it's at least the second best job in the nation. So with that being said, it's way better than everything that is currently open because you have living proof that if you are not an idiot and you respect the job and you're not an a-hole, you can win a championship. Brian Kelly did not do all of those things. In fact, he reverse checks the box of some of those things, and that's kind of why we're sitting at the spot that we are. But if Les Miles and Ed Ogeron can win a championship, I think there's an avenue for a lot of really good coaches to do the same.
What did you learn about Texas A&M on Saturday?
I think Marcel Reed's actually pretty good. I think Texas A&M is actually pretty good. I still don't think they're in the class of Ohio State and oddly, Indiana, but it's a really good football team. Marcel Reed's going to be hit and miss like he kind of was at parts on Saturday, but they have enough around him to really elevate when he is missing. And I thought that was the biggest takeaway from the game itself. It was less about the Brian Kelly. Sunday was about Brian Kelly. But Saturday itself to me was, this Texas A&M team just went in to a badass environment and pretty much shut up the crowd at LSU, and that was really impressive.
Nothing pretty much about it, Denton. I've been on the record about this. That was the worst Tiger Stadium night of my life.
I was stunned. I'm sitting in my living room, right, watching that game. Now, I did a morning show on Saturday with, a schedule change. So I just got to sit there and enjoy it and not take vigorous notes the entire time. And when they were coming back from a break in the second half and the Texas A&M fans were dancing, doing the little cult-like dance with all that beige that they wear, and they're dancing and everyone else in LSU at the stadium is sitting, I was like, oh, this is a different atmosphere than what we are accustomed to. And at that point, I pretty much understood. All right, Brian Kelly, if he survives this week, it'll be miraculous, but he's not surviving all that much longer.
So let me go big picture here on the Southeastern Conference. We have seen like Vanderbilt beat LSU, Arkansas play LSU close, South Carolina play Bama close. We see Kentucky play Texas close, and Florida beat Texas. And the amount of parity is just remarkable at this point. What do you attribute that to? Like, there used to be a time where there were 3 or 4 teams that were way better than everybody else. There were 4 or 5 teams that were terrible. And now it's just like every week you see a lot of really close games between good teams, bad teams, and everybody in between.
Yeah, so there's definitely not a juggernaut, which I think, we've been so accustomed to seeing that, because not only was it just top-heavy teams, but you had just massive, juggernauts. Alabama, Georgia, at times LSU, like for a weird year every now and then. Auburn was in that conversation. If you go all the way back, Florida was in that conversation. I think there is one, because everybody has money now, that kind of makes it a little bit easier, but that's also kind of silly because everyone always had money in the SEC, and they always, whether they want to admit it or not, were using that money. I think really what it comes down to is there are a bunch of really, really good coaches all across the board, and as money has started to come in, guys have gotten really good at developing. And I think this is the first year, certainly way better than last year, but this is the first year in a while where it does feel like there's a lot of good quarterbacks. Not great quarterbacks, so to speak, like not absolute must-watch television, but there are a lot of good quarterbacks. Lenore Sellers hasn't had a great season, but he played really well against Alabama. It was the best game I thought of his season so far to this point. And I think when you have instances like that where a guy might not be putting together the greatest season in the world, but on the drop of a dime can play really well, that's why you get some of these close games.
Trinidad Chambliss, one of those guys who's played pretty well. Ole Miss beats Oklahoma 34-26. They moved to 7-1 and are, to me, almost a lock for the college football playoff based on the schedule. What about that one in Norman?
That was Trinidad Chambliss can do it. He can win a big one when necessary. He's a great example of what I was talking about, to where for him it's like quarters almost, where there are quarters where he's just missing, and he is not the most accurate guy that you have ever seen in the world. In fact, Ole Miss should have scored a lot more than what they did if he would just complete what you would normally call is relatively easy passes for a college quarterback. So you did see a little bit of, that's right, he played D2 last year in him, but he's a gamer. And I think this has been Lane Kiffin's best season coaching-wise. Picked a really good year to have that best season coaching-wise. He is going to be one rich SOB by the end of this one. But I think that's a really good team, and defensively I think they did a really good job against John Mateer, a guy that looked like he was a Heisman frontrunner, 6 weeks ago pre-injury. He looks like a completely different quarterback in all the wrong ways.
Yeah, he was inaccurate in the fourth quarter, and that really cost Oklahoma in a couple of crucial spots. Let's talk about Georgia Tech. They beat Syracuse 41-16. They are 8-0, 5-0 in ACC play. How good is Georgia Tech?
They're good. They play a physical brand of football that I think certain teams in the ACC are not really accustomed to, and they can hit you from a bunch of different angles. But Haynes King is the real deal. He's a really fun quarterback to watch, and he plays hard. He is a gritty football player, and I think that's kind of what that program is. They're very similar, I feel like, in a lot of ways to Vanderbilt. One, because the colors are similar, two, because they have had years where they were the bottom of their respective conference, and now they're elevating towards the top. But they have a way of playing that is not the sexiest in the world, but they do what they do really, really well. And I think Brent Key's done a hell of a job. And you look at the rest of their schedule, and it feels like that they are. I mean, if they get to the ACC championship unbeaten, they're going to the college football playoff. But they've been a really good team to watch.
Kind of the same type of deal. Good coach, physical team that generally hasn't won a lot. That's Vanderbilt. They beat Missouri 17-10. Now you look at their schedule. They've only got one loss. They have a trip to Austin coming up. They've got a trip to Knoxville at the end of the season, but Auburn and Kentucky between those two. How do you feel about Vanderbilt's playoff chances?
I feel really good about them. I mean, who knows? Maybe Sark is on the plane back with them to Nashville by the time that one's over with when they play Texas. I think it's going to be really cool to have the potential and what I'm expecting to be a playoff game effectively for Vanderbilt and Tennessee at the end of this season. Circle it. Say, hey, the winner of this one is going to get in, and the loser of this one might not be getting into the college football playoff. That really adds another element to that football game. I think it kind of throws into the face of those that said the expanded playoff would kill a lot of meaningful games. I think in a sense it's actually added to it because of that. I think Diego Pavia is a fun quarterback to watch. He wants the Heisman Trophy. I like that he wants the Heisman Trophy. I think everybody should want the Heisman Trophy. Does he have good enough numbers to earn the Heisman Trophy? Not a chance. But I like the fact that he's brash about it. I want guys to want the most prestigious trophy in all of American sports. That narrative is certainly there for them, but Clark Lee does a really good job, and they could have easily folded with the amount of attention that they got this weekend, and they didn't, and that was really impressive, even if Bo Pribolo was out for a majority of the second half of that game.
Not the most attractive slate coming up this weekend. Vanderbilt, Texas, probably the headliner. We thought the headliner would be Penn State, Ohio State, and now that's really not. What are your thoughts on the slate coming up this weekend?
Yeah, not nearly as sexy as we were hoping, but everyone should be bracing yourselves because we kind of know the deal, right? When you look at a slate, especially this late in the season, where you think, oh, this week kind of sucks, that's where the madness happens. I don't know where that madness is going to come from. I am not by any way, shape, or form suggesting that Penn State is going to do the unthinkable and beat Ohio State. They are not. I will not believe anyone can until I see someone score more than 17 against Ohio State. But I do think we might see an upset or two that kind of justify the relatively weaker slate this weekend.
If South Carolina loses this week to Ole Miss, they're not going to go to College Station and win. They may not beat Clemson. And then you've got the Virginia Tech opening and Shane Beamer's being mentioned there.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think Shane Beamer's future is in Columbia?
There might be a very polite handshake agreement of like, hey, go take that job. It's not working here. We're going to make a change. Go take that job. But at this point, Hunt, I would very much caution teams across the country who have not fired their coach at the moment, maybe chill out a little bit because there are a lot of openings now, and there are a lot of really big openings, and you're not going to out-sexy LSU, Florida, or Penn State. So who is out there that you are just head over heels that you think you're going to land that isn't going to land at one of those operations? I know there's still going to be teams that pull the trigger. I have a good feeling that Florida State is going to be one of them. That statement they put out 2 weeks ago read more to me as we just don't have the money now. It needs a couple business months to transfer, and then once we get it, we will make that decision and pull the trigger on Mike Norvell. But I just don't know. You immediately, at the very best, you're second in line behind LSU being first, but Florida State is behind, I would say, certainly Florida and Penn State. And if I'm South Carolina, you're way behind all of those teams. So I know the season hasn't been as you hoped, but I don't know that there are a whole lot of, much better options because it also feels like there's not a lot of really sexy coordinators or young coaches that are available at the moment.
It'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out. We've got probably a month before it really heats up. Generally speaking, that week after Thanksgiving can be a little wild, but with the playoff now, maybe not quite that early. We'll see. We'll talk to you next week, Denton. Appreciate it, man.
I appreciate it as always.
Denton Day, Sirius XM's College Football Overtime host with us every single Monday. We'll step aside, come back, and close it out. Monday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Just go by and see the showroom. It is such an amazing facility. I've been in a lot of car dealerships in my day, especially in my time in the insurance business, and this is the finest I've been in. It feels like you're walking into a spa as opposed to a showroom. They've got incredible ambiance. They've got partitioned areas where you can get some work done if you're getting your car serviced and would like to do that. They've got an incredible coffee machine, great snack setup as well, complimentary. The people are first class. They've got the rock waterfall there that just sets a nice mood. And they got a great line of vehicles, which is probably more important. But I like the facility, so I tell you about it. Go by and see them. Airline at PQ. Get behind the wheel of one of those Genesis. I like the GV80. It's their midsize SUV. That's best for me and my family's lifestyle currently. That's the case for you. Get on by and see them. If you're in a little bit of a different place, you can check out their sedans as well. It's a luxury brand at a reasonable price. That is the Genesis model. You can find them airline at PQ or online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, wrapping things up here on this Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. It's been a fast-moving one. If you missed the opening monologue, I spent the first 45 minutes of the show today really talking about the Brian Kelly era, the decision that came down on Sunday, all of that big picture stuff. I spent the last 15 minutes of the hour talking about the actual game on Saturday night. Did a little bit of Saints. You can catch that at Hunt on Saints. But you can catch all the stuff about Brian Kelly and the football program at Hunt on LSU. It'll be up on YouTube and certainly wherever you find your podcast. So go ahead and check that out if you're just tuning in, just hopping off work, just getting in the carpool line, whatever the case may be. Appreciate y'all for listening. If you missed it, you can find all of it on demand. One more order of business. It's take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Flight by Yingling, next generation of light beer. I had Flight by Yingling last night after a long day of dealing with the Brian Kelly story and ultimately the news that broke. It was delicious, and I invite you to have a Flight by Yingling as well. It has got all the flavors you're looking for from a beer, and then all the great assets of a light beer that's 2.6 carbs, 95 calories. Flight by Yingling, it is the next generation of light beer.
All right, let's kick this bad boy off with the 0-2 New Orleans Pelicans versus the 0-3 Boston Celtics tonight in the blender. Will the Pelicans finally get their first W of the season? Take it or leave it.
Take it.
I'll take it.
I think absolutely that the Pels will win. Great team, amazing team. Actually, not a great team. They're 0-2. But the Celtics, I'm a little surprised. They've come out of the gate so slowly. It's a different team.
I am surprised they are 0-3, but no Tatum.
Different team with no Tatum.
I feel like they're punting on the year, but
yep, a little bit.
So
it's a loaded draft class.
It's a loaded draft class, and you don't have a first-round pick, so you kind of need to win this game desperately tonight. So matter of fact, let me do this one more time.
I'll take it.
Again.
There you go.
Okay, so fired Power 4 football coach is the best job in America. Take it or leave it.
It's a good one. Take it.
I'll take it.
That's a good gig. If you can get that job and get those buyouts. I am curious.
Yes.
If 10 years from now, we're going to look back and go, do y'all remember that 15-year period where everybody was getting like 13, 18, $50 million to go away?
Yeah.
And maybe that the athletic directors changed course and stopped.
I think they need to.
Stopped making those contracts look like that. It would take it would take all the athletic directors teaming up and making that the standard, because if you think it's the leg up you need to get the coach you think is going to be great, and that's what you'll do. But the agents have whipped these athletic directors into these unbelievable deals, and the contracts are so big and they can be done so fast. If you don't make the playoffs in 3 years, you're out of there, and you probably got a 7-year deal, or in this case a 10-year deal, and then all of a sudden the numbers just get out of hand. I don't know if that's going to continue. I'm curious to see what the language of the contracts for all three of these big hires with Penn State, Florida, and LSU are going to look like.
Now that you say that, I think these three jobs, well, probably be some more that open up, but definitely these three jobs are going to be like that first domino that might fall in the right direction or the wrong direction. Well, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't Scott Woodard the one that signed Jimbo to that crazy contract?
He was the one that signed Jimbo to a big contract. He did not give the extension that ultimately led to buyout. Ross Bjork was responsible for that. Now, it's common for people to link the two together, and they're not exclusive. Like, Woodward did throw a huge contract to Jimbo, but that extension came from Ross Bjork.
Okay. Ooh, this is the one I really want your answer on, even though you kind of alluded to this. Well, can LSU win out and win 9 games this season? Take it or leave it.
Leave it. They'll beat Western Kentucky. I struggle with the other ones. I don't think they're going to Tuscaloosa and winning, obviously, although that line is remarkably short to me. 5.5, 5.5 is such a short line.
You remember, though, Hunt, when Rizzy, the interim coach boost? The interim coach boost? You never know.
Arkansas scores a lot of points.
And we don't score
much. Just feels like that's a tall ask for LSU. And then Oklahoma's not playing great. So, we'll see what's going on in Norman by then. I mean, that job could come open. Yeah. If Oklahoma face plants over the rest of this schedule, that job could come open. Let me see what Oklahoma has left on their schedule, because now you're looking at an Oklahoma team that's 6-2, which is not terrible.
Not bad. But
their next two are at Tennessee, at Alabama, and then you play Missouri at home. Now, Privula may not be there, but if they lose those 3, that would be 4 in a row, and you're talking about a team that would be 6-5.
and desperate.
That could be, they could fire their coach.
Yeah.
I mean, so Oklahoma could come open. Now, that may not. They could win those games. So we'll see. But I don't think LSU's going to go there and win right now. I don't think so. I think they're not losing out. Western Kentucky will make sure of that. But it's not going to be pretty, I don't think.
Okay, well, that's all for take it or leave it. Damn, hon, I really wish you would have been like we would have won out. Really wish you would have won out.
No, I don't think so. That's just not where my head is at this point currently. So that's a show. There's a show. That's a Seinfeld reference for those of you out there that don't get it. Fast moving. So if you missed any of it, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Hunt on LSU, Hunt on Saints. So I always appreciate y'all. And check it out on LouisianaSports.net. We got a lot of content up there. Had the story of LSU firing Brian Kelly. There's a column of mine on why things went wrong. There's a look at how the staff looks moving forward. We also have Ross Jackson Saints content with the column about what they should do at the quarterback spot. So it's free. Know that a lot of y'all are heading that direction. We really appreciate it. But go check out our stuff at LouisianaSports.net. I am done. We'll talk about who LSU should hire on tomorrow's show. I'm looking forward to that. Next, Matt's going to drive you home on AFR. He's got a little bit to talk about, so he will do that. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place for a Tuesday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.